So we had to sneak by Walmart to get a battery for this riding lawnmower. Walmart's the only place in the world where you can get a car battery, drain cleaner, and siding repair stuff all in one stop. I love America. Well, it's late night again, and we're back with another pile. And our pile is this. We have a Craftsman, I don't even know what it is, 15.5 horsepower lawnmower. I call up a buddy of mine and say, because he does lawnmowers, and I say, hey, you got an old junk rider that still runs that you want to get rid of? He says, well, we got one we're about to strip. Motor's good, we don't know about anything else. Okay, $100. I'm starting to think he may have got the better deal. But before you spend a whole lot of money, this is what you need to do. Because lawnmowers are either worth all the money or they're worth no money. And I think you know where, if I was a betting man, where I would be betting on this. He said it had a battery in it, but it was dead. But when I got it, there was no battery in it. Of course, when I found it, he left it in the yard while I was gone, so I don't know if, yeah, there was a lot more. I think he just was tired of it, and there was alcohol involved. Anyhow, let's go over this thing and see what we need to do to try to get it started. As you see, 3 out of the 4 tires are not holding air, so we got to address that. This one will pump up and this one will pump up, but the valve stem is gone in that. So the first rule before you even put any money into it, well, you might have to buy a battery, get a cheap one, and you're only out $35 or so. We need to see if it'll actually turn over. Before we even put a battery in it though, let's check a few things. Well, that needs fixed. Okay. So, check the oil. And yes, it has it. A lot of it. Is there any gasoline in here? We hope not. Nope, dry as a bone. It smells varnishy too. Part of a secret to making these engines and fueling systems last longer is don't use anything with ethanol in it if you can help it. If you can get an ethanol neutralizer like Stable or something like that, do that. But ethanol is just death to these things. And it doesn't last. The shelf life for ethanol is about 60 to 90 days, and then most of the octane has gone out of it. You can start a campfire with it, and you can have a horrible time with an automobile. But for these things, if the fuel gets too bad, they just won't run. So he told me that he actually had it running. That's the only reason I bought it from him, or gave him as much money as I did. Well, it's got a new filter in it. That's nice. So pull that off and see what the carburetor looks like. It's a little wet. Turn the light on here. A lot of the problem with these was this solenoid here. It would start really screwing up the carburetor. So what a lot of guys do is they just disconnect it or cut the wires, and you know, that seems like it fixes it. It just makes this inert. It's got something to do with some kind of choke diaphragm or something like that. He explained it to me, but I didn't listen as well as I probably should have. But apparently when it goes bad, it doesn't allow the bowl to fill or something like that. It pretty much floods the thing out. So a lot of guys just unplug it, and it seems like it works fine after that. The interesting thing about this is these leads are long enough to where you can get a battery. It doesn't matter which side you get, it'll work. So let's put the battery in and see what happens. Grab that. Seems like it likes to be this way. Let's see if this actually works. Oh, okay. And we're going to have to find some screws for these. So now that the battery's in, we'll flip this cover down. Maybe. And then try not to break anything. So let's see if she'll start. Now I'm not really wanting to start it, I'm just wanting to see if it'll crank over. So let's go. So nothing. I'm a little irritated. I went over the whole electrical wiring system, actually got the thing to turn over, and I missed it. So let's see if we can do it again. Let's go over here to the shelf, get a little bit of no ethanol gasoline, and we'll put it in. If you're just testing it right now, you don't want to put more than about 1/4 to 1/2 gallon in. That way, you get enough to fill up the lines and the bowls and all that, but in case there's a leak, you're not dumping gallons of gasoline all over your garage. Just enough to get it going. Well, I wasn't quite expecting it to be that easy. It is smoking quite a bit though. So, at the bare minimum, we've still got to find one tire before we go out and test it. So, I think we're done for tonight because, well, usually I'll work till 2 or 3 in the morning, but there's no place to get a tire at 2 or 3 in the morning. So, we'll catch you in the morning. So it's the next day, and I'm up here in Lowe's, or at Lowe's, and I went out and looked at lawnmower tires, and I'm not spending more for a lawnmower tire than I'd spend on my own car. So I got the next best thing. I got an enter tube. So we'll see how this works. But for all of us who grew up in the 70s and 80s and had Huffy bicycles, you already know what's going to happen. This probably isn't going to be long for this world. So let's get home and get this thing finished up. Well, we're back. I've got the lawnmower jacked up. Getting the wheel off. It's pretty straightforward. It's just a retaining clip and some washers right here. So let's pop this off and see if we can get this loose. We're going to have to pop the bead off the tire, and the reason I'm not doing it on the tractor is I don't want to bend the shaft. So, or break anything else that might be on the verge of breaking. So sometimes it's better just to take things apart and play the safe game. The thing was remarkably easy to take off. You might just want to put a little lube on there when you put it back together. Now let's see if we can break this bead. Am I fat enough? Probably not. Oh, hey, there we go. I guess I am fat enough. Okay, so irony reigns supreme, and let me show you why. There was an inner tube inside here, and apparently I should have checked it out. We'll see if it's still good. If it's not, we'll replace it. So the trip to Wichita may have been a wasted one. When you put your mower wheel back together, this little notch, there's a keyway that goes in there. Make sure you take care of that and don't lose it. That little key there does two functions. It not only helps seat your tire, but it also is what allows the tire to spin. So, well, it's spin on the shaft as one unit. It locks the tire onto the shaft, so, and it holds everything snug. So let's get the washers and rings and stuff back on, and well, let's go from there. Kind of want to take it out and try mowing something, but it's coming down. And this right here is where it sucks. We had to spend all this money just to find out if this thing will actually work. So, what do we do now? So now we gotta wait for it to quit raining so we can actually take it out in the yard. Tires are all aired up, thing fires up, but now we actually have to use it. So, let's see what happens. Ta! Mean green for the win. I'm out of simple green. So I had to run to town, as you'll know by my clean shirt. And we're back. Thing started up. I actually got it out into the street, and then it died. So it's not having any power, so we're going to replace this. And maybe the ignition switch. So let me show you what I got. So I got a replacement solenoid here, and a replacement key switch here. I may not need both of them, but they were cheap, so I gave about $30 for the pair of those. So let's get them on and see what happens. So as we wind up this video, let's show you what I got in. All in all, in this video, I threw a couple of parts at it. The ignition switch didn't work, and it did need the inner tube. I can do something with those later. But I did need the battery, and I did replace the starter solenoid. Okay, so all in all, I have $165 into it. The question becomes, is it worth it? I can keep throwing parts at it, and I can get about $250 into wheels and tires and all the other stuff, and then will it still run? We still can't get it to run long term. I got it to fire up twice. I've not been able to get it to start since. So it's a $100 lawnmower. How much more money do you want to put into it? These are the questions you should ask yourself. This, not a whole lot more. I'll probably tinker with it a bunch off camera, but in reality, if you need a good dependable lawnmower, chances are, unless you know exactly what's wrong with it, this is not the way to get it. This is a $100 mower. This is almost a parts mower. And if you're good with this kind of stuff and you like tinkering with it and you can make it work, by all means, this is what you should do. But for the rest of us who just want something that's going to fire up and mow the yard, this is not the way to do it. You're going to invest too much time, too much energy, and too much money and get too little of an end result. Lawnmowers, like I said, are either worth all the money or they're worth no money. There's very rarely an in-between. So if you find a good deal on a mower that works, runs, drives, the whole ordeal, spend the money. Because a mower like this that runs, and I'm not making fun of my buddy who sold it to me. He didn't give it to me, he sold it to me, trust me. It was running. In fact, we saw it run. But he told me he only fired it up once, he got it going, and they hadn't even screwed with it yet. So when I told him I was looking for a good lawnmower to maybe do a video on, he said, I got this one. Seemed like an interesting deal? No problem, I'll try it out. But it is what it is. So if you're looking for a good lawnmower, this is not the way to do it. These aren't good mowers. But if you're pretty savvy and you can figure it out, you're going to be all right. But as soon as we get this going, we don't even know how good the blades are yet. We don't know about the transfer case or the transmission. I don't know anything. It started. See, you can go a long ways down a rabbit hole with zero reward and all the risk. You can dump a lot of money. You can dump as much money into one of these as you do your car. So just something to be mindful of. Anyways, we had fun with this. I hope you enjoyed it. And I guess we'll catch you next video. Thanks for watching.